I keep releasing what I want, but it keeps coming back to bite me in the butt anyway. That's today's viewer question in a roundabout way. It's Dr. Mary, and this is a question I get all the time. We've been talking on the blog lately about the fact that we all have different lessons that we were sent here to learn. And I like to call the more complex lessons onions because it seems to me that we peel the layer of the onion and we think I'm done, and then it comes back again and we're like, I got rid of you. No, you got rid of a layer, but now you've got the next layer, and then the next layer, and then the next layer. Sometimes onions can be gotten rid of in a few days' time. Sometimes it takes years or even decades. It takes as long as it takes until you've learned your lesson. So if you're frustrated, don't lose hope, because I have a process that I like to walk my clients through to help you really identify what's going on here and why does that particular life lesson or onion or whatever you want to call it, cosmic 2x4, keep coming around to bite you. So the first step is you've got to figure out what it is that you want. And a lot of times this comes in a what I don't want. It's like, I don't want that. I don't want that onion. I don't want that lesson. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the codependency. I'm tired of attracting, the alcoholic. I'm tired of saying yes when I mean no. So what is it that's the issue? What's the onion, the lesson? The first thing you got to do is identify that. Because if you just say, well, I want to feel better, great. You need to be more specific. What is the real lesson here? So figure out what it is that you want, or oftentimes what it is that you don't want. So I want to give you an example from it's been about 9 months ago. So I'm telling a tale about myself here. So I had been an advisor to one of the student organizations on campus for about 5 years. And this was a large organization, and hundreds of students, and so there were many advisors. And over the course of last summer, in a very short period of time, 3 of the other advisors stepped down. And so suddenly, I used to have kind of a secondary or tertiary even advisory role. Suddenly, I was advising the whole dang thing. This was not a role I signed up for. It wasn't a role that I particularly wanted, but because I did not clearly say, no, I don't want this, I ended up in this role. It's my life lesson. It's my onion, right? Saying yes when I mean no, or not saying anything and that being taken as a yes. So fast forward several months, and I'm swimming, and I feel like I'm drowning in this role because it's so time consuming and so overwhelming, and it's interfering with my ability to get my work done. And so I was faced with a tough decision. I just took this role on a few months ago, but this is not serving me. I don't want this anymore. It's not working. So figure out what you do or what you don't want. Number 2, you've got to figure out how you got there. I just kind of shared my story with you. I got there because I didn't firmly say no. I knew at the time when I was asked to take on this role that it was not in my best interest. But I felt bad for these students because all the other advisors had just bailed at once. And I was really the only one trained in the capacity to do this. I didn't have to say yes, though. It really wasn't my responsibility, but I took it on myself anyway. So what I'm asking you to do here is to take ownership for your part in how you got there. We don't want to play the role of the victim and just shrug our shoulders and say, I don't know, I just got here I am. There's usually, even if I'm not, blame, no shame, right? There's not blame or shame involved here. But there's usually at least a little iota where you can see, oh, that's how I got here. Because when you examine life through that victim lens. I don't know how I got here. I just know I don't want to be here. What happens is that means you've given your power away. You got to take your power back and acknowledge, okay, I kind of dug myself into this hole. Maybe not 100% my fault, but I dug myself in, and now I've got to decide how I'm going to get out. So, figure out what you want or what you don't want. Figure out how you got there. Take responsibility. Take your power back. Number 3, figure out, dream world, what do you want? So in my case, I wanted to get out. I just knew that there was no way I could stay in that role and have it work. It was a tough decision, but I had so many other obligations on my plate that were more in alignment with where I'm going than that particular role was. So I knew I needed to get out. So that was me figuring out what I really, truly wanted in that situation. Then, step 4, you have to do the release work. So a lot of times clients come to me and they're like, I keep releasing, and it keeps coming back. Probably because that's the only step you're doing. You can release something till you're blue in the face, but if you haven't figured out how you got there, you haven't owned your part in it, you haven't figured out what the lesson is that you're supposed to learn here, it's never going to go away. It's going to keep coming back until it teaches you what you need to know. So just simply writing it on a piece of paper and burning it and saying, I release you, it's wonderful and it's one of the steps, but it's not the only step. And in my mind, it's a little premature to do the release work until you figured out what you're releasing in the first place. So I had to take ownership of my role in that situation and take my power back and realize I had given my power away before I could do that release work of the people-pleasing, the old pattern of the codependency, the people-pleasing, the saying yes when I mean no, whatever your role or pattern or belief or whatever it may be. I had to own that. I did this to myself. Then I could release it. But it doesn't stop there. You can't just say, I release you and have it be gone forever. Because again, if you haven't learned your lesson, it's going to keep coming around to bite you. So the next step, step number 5, is take action in alignment with where you want to go. So it would have done me 0 good to do a release ceremony saying, I don't want to be in this role anymore, I release it, and then not follow up. Because I'd still be in that role. It's part of taking back your power and taking responsibility for where you want to go and what you want to manifest. So I gave the group 2 months notice. I said, okay, I get this is bad timing. We were nearing the end of the semester. They had finals, they were going away for break. So I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I have to step down. This is not working for me. It's interfering with my ability to do my other work. But I know that this is a bad time. So I'm going to give you 2 months to replace me. So by doing that, I felt like I was being fair to them by giving them some time. And I was also being fair to me and allowing myself to disentangle gradually myself from that role that I had become so enmeshed in over that few months that I had really kind of stepped up and served as that head role. So I took my power back and I took action and I followed through on the action. Whenever they kept coming back around, well, can't you just extend it out another month? Nope. Sorry. I'm giving you 2 months. That's all I can give you. I set the boundary. I drew the line in the sand. And you know what? They got it together. So as part of that, taking action, you may have to make that decision of how involved do I want to be in this? So if it's something like a committee, is it your job to find your replacement or is it their job to find your replacement? And that may vary based on your situation. And I get that. So that's part of your heart-to-heart with yourself and taking ownership of you deciding, okay, is this something I need to take responsibility for and delegate out to somebody else? Or is this something that's really not even mine to begin with? And someone else can be responsible for finding the replacement once I've taken the action of saying, here's my line in the sand. I'm done on this day. Now it's up to you. Last but not least, you have to believe in the possibility. Believe it can happen. Stay true to you. Because if you keep second guessing yourself, or you're wishy-washy, or you go back, you're never going to get out. And you're going to be right back at step one all over again. And sometimes that last step, that belief piece, is the hardest of the steps. It's easy to say what you want. It's at least to figure it out. Maybe not to say it, but at least to figure it out. That's pretty easy. Do a release ceremony. That's pretty easy. Believing it's all going to work out just as you want it to, having confidence in yourself, sometimes that's the hard part. So if you need some help with that, reach out. Dr. Mary at drmarypritchard.com. We'll see how I can help you boost your confidence. But in the meantime, if you're tired of that same old lesson coming around to bite you, follow those 6 steps. Let me know how it goes. And know that you will get to where you want. But you've got to take the steps to make it happen. Keep the questions coming in. Much love, and bye.